This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, MICHAEL COVEL. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. Someone accused me of being surly the other day. And I thought, well, I don't really think of myself as being surly. I guess that kind of sounds not so nice, like I'm not a happy person or such. Look, it's hard. Like, online's tough, and I'm blunt with my writing. But I'm generally a happy person. I get good sleep. No issues there. I'm just blunt. I'm just direct. There's so much, what's the phrase I want to say? There's so much hedging today. There's so many excuses. And I thought a great intro, I'm only going to play a few seconds of it, but I thought a great intro for how I've been feeling, how happy I feel about the world. A little song from March of 1990. And I think this should put you in the mood that I'm in right now, as the headlines talk of European meltdowns, and Spain is disappearing, and Greece is floated back into the Mediterranean, and all hell is apparently breaking loose. I think this guy from March of 1990 named Trent Reznor kind of had it pegged. He's a happy guy too, as far as I can tell. I'm being a little sarcastic with Head Like a Hole, but I think it's a pretty good lyric for where a lot of people are going wrong today. But before I get into this podcast, I kind of want to make an announcement. And this is a fun announcement for me. So I play Head Like a Hole, and some of you are out there going, oh, it just proves Covel's surly, he's unhappy. And no, that's not the case. So anyways, last week I am driving to Los Angeles and going up the 5, and I still have to write out directions because I just forget where I'm going up there. And I think I'm on the 101, and I'm like, it's like a racetrack, and the starting and stopping driving in LA is insane. And so I just pick up my phone, and I've got one of these services where it tells you, and you've got a call or whatever. I guess it's probably from my online number. And so I just randomly take it. And this guy he's a reader, listener of my podcast. And he immediately starts to say, hey, I've got somebody that you need to talk to. And I'm thinking, oh shit, man, this guy's going to want me to talk to his grandmother or something crazy. This is going to be a complete waste of time. And he's like, well, one of my really good friends was the head of the MIT blackjack card counting team, a la from the movie. And I've got the book in front of me from Bringing Down the House. And I was like, well, that's really cool. And he's like, and he starts referencing the Jack Schwager interview that I did when we were talking about Ed Thorpe. And he's like, look, I think you should talk to my friend. And of course, even though I'm about to get into an accident on the 101 in LA, I immediately realized this is a good idea, because anybody that's done a little, modicum of homework realizes the connections between blackjack and trading. You can look back at Jerry Zavoda and Tom Shanks, two of the original Turtles. They were on competing blackjack teams who were hired by Richard Dennis on the same day to be Turtles. Obviously, blackjack connection. And we're talking about Ed Thorpe in Jack Schwager's new book, Hedge Fund Market Wizards. And so anyways, this guy's like, well, yeah, my friend will call you or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. Guy calls me a few seconds later. We end up talking on the phone, and so I'm going to go up next week and sit down with him. Turn the tape recorder on, and I've got a little homework I've got to do. I've got to reread Bringing Down the House, and I've got to go reread Ed Thorpe's Beat the Dealer. But I bring this announcement up because I think it probably makes a lot of sense. Not that I want to go off the reservation, so to speak, and don't throw any kind of discrimination talk at me for using that phrase, because it is a completely legitimate phrase. I think it's going to make a lot of sense to get other people on the podcast that can add value from other walks of life, especially to other walks that are closely related or correlated to trading. And I think being the head of the MIT blackjack card counting team surely fits that bill. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, and I will hopefully get that posted next week. And if you have any other ideas, I don't care whether it's a trader, venture capitalist, entrepreneur, reach out to me. I want to hear ideas. Look, the podcast has been great. The feedback has been fantastic. But let's all of us be honest. I mean, I'm trying my level-headed best to make these interesting and entertaining. But let's just be honest. Some people have droned on, and some people have been harder to listen to than others. And we need to clean that up. And anybody that appears, I don't want people to be anything other than themselves. But as I told this startup hedge fund the other day, we were talking about doing an episode together. And I said, look, here's the deal. You don't have to be anything except yourself. Just be yourself. But you got to be open. You can't be closed down. You can't make it seem like there's these things that you won't talk about. If you don't want to talk about your background, if you don't want to talk about your career, if you don't want to talk about the ups and downs and some real stories about what's really happened in your life, then maybe you're just not ready to do a podcast interview yet, because it really won't help you. It's not going to help me at all. I mean, if I have boring podcasts, people are going to be like, Covel, these are boring as shit. I don't want to listen anymore. But it's definitely not going to help you if you appear and you don't say anything. Hint, hint. If it applies to you, no, you know it applies to you. But anyways, just keep that in mind. Let's get some additional feedback here. Let's get some interesting shows coming in. I've got a whole slew of other guests coming up, most of them in the trend following space, but I definitely want feedback. So let me know. You know, one of the first things I want to talk about today is a post that I put up recently. And the post was affectionately titled, Spotting Bullshit in Financial News in a Few Easy Steps. And I just randomly went to Yahoo Finance the other day, and I just pulled off a wire service report, one of those ones they put out all day long that tells you, okay, the S&P is down 1%, and it's down 1% because of, and a whole slew of fundamental reasons or explanations. And they have these all day long, and they're if you look closely, and this is the point of my post, who writes this stuff? I mean, they're so assertive about saying, you know, the market was down because of this. The market was up because of this. Now, of course, from a trend following perspective, we all know this is useless information. But not everybody is a trend follower yet. And so what I'm trying to do is get people, you know, give everybody a bear hug, get them to understand the manipulation and the nonsense that goes on. So once again, go to Yahoo Finance, you see these articles. They're usually written by Reuters, for example, a wire service reporter. It usually tells you who's written it. And one of the things, and I've been doing this for years, and you know, call me weird or odd or crazy, or you know, a couple people have accused me of picking on this poor young writer. But so this guy, Ryan Vlasteleka, I think is how you pronounce it. He wrote this article that I posted the other day. I didn't know anything about Ryan. I've never heard of him. But, you know, it says by Ryan and lists the article, lists the information, and it lists all these wise economic projections and predictions that you would expect a Nobel Prize winner in economics to be making. Well, Ryan, not like every one of these wire service reporters, is a young guy. You can tell by his picture he's a young guy. There's nothing wrong with being a young guy. I was a young guy too. You read the details. It says, Ryan's an alum of New York University where he studied journalism and American politics. And you realize that the people that are hired for these wire service reports that come out all day long, that are read by clearly a lot of people. Now, some people have said, well, Mike, you know, who would be reading this information? What wise, intelligent person would be reading this information? Well, yeah, that's true in the abstract, but clearly someone's reading it. Like millions of people are reading this stuff. Okay, so I think it's relevant to kind of point out the idiocy of this stuff. And so anyways, when you go down and you look at Ryan's background, there is no background basically. There's nothing. It's literally vapor. Well, what does this mean? it really means that most people that write these wire service reports are probably, based on my best judgment, I don't know, right out of school, maybe 25 years of age, up to 25, maybe, journalism degree, a literature degree from an Ivy League school, with literally no real insight as to anything. They've got a formula. They have a formula to write and explain why the markets are moving one way or another, up or down, at any moment in time, all day long. I guess it's a system. It's kind of like a trading system. They've got a writing system that purports to explain what the markets are doing. Am I the only person that just thinks that's just ludicrous? Am I the only person that thinks that Ryan should be called out? I've had a couple people say, well, Mike, why go ahead and publicly pick on this young guy? He's just earning his way. It could be his first job. And I'm like, God, give me a break. He's in the public eye. He is writing for a major, major finance publication. There's his name in black and white. He is a big boy. If he doesn't want to be there getting the adulation, then he shouldn't be standing there expecting that someone like me on the other side of the coin isn't going to step up and at least question the whole process. Okay, once again, if you're a trend following trader and be like, oh, Coveal, this is worthless to me. Yeah, I get that. But you know what? It's not worthless to people that don't yet understand how much the system manipulates people, how much the system puts nonsense out there all day long, literally from just college kids that don't have Paul Krugman's knowledge or Vernon Smith's knowledge or Harry Markowitz's knowledge, even though they position their writing to make it seem like they are this very well-experienced economist. And clearly, being a very experienced economist doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any money in the markets. That's not my point. My point is, I like to nail hypocrisy. I like to get under the sheets and look at nonsense, expose it, and call it out. Now, of course, one of my critics, but somebody went at me a little bit on Facebook and they said, well, why pick on this guy? There's bigger fish to fry. And I said, well, yeah, of course. I nail Warren Buffett and Ben Bernanke in my book, Trend Commandments. But you know what? If I'm sitting there during the day and I see hypocrisy, I think that Ryan can take the blog post, and Bernanke and Buffett, who've got plenty of negative blog posts on my site too, they get the book print, the book content. Look, I don't know. I just don't have any sympathy, because look, at the end of the day, I hope Ryan does well. I want him to do well. I want him to make lots of money. And maybe, just maybe, Ryan will see my blog post. He'll notice that perhaps some smart criticism has been laid out, and he'll quit his job as a wire service reporter for Reuters. And he will move on to something that allows him to be more than just a cog in the wheel, the manipulative wheel of Wall Street. Allow him to kind of move on to something where he can kind of look back 10 years from now and go, damn, I'm glad that guy Coveal criticized me because I finally made some real money and I'm not just this punk kid working for Reuters, taking a check from the man, doing nothing of note. I'm glad. I don't even know this guy Coveal. He's looking out for me. He actually drilled me between the eyes and I learned something. Why not, right? Moving on from Ryan, staying in the world of media, though, I want to get back to trend following. And I've seen two videos in the last week on CNBC. People have forwarded me these videos. One of them was with Jason Gerlach, and I hope I'm pronouncing that the right way because Jason's going to kill me if I'm not, even though we've met many times. And Jason is a principal at Sunrise Capital. And Sunrise Capital has the first chapter in my little book of trading. And so Jason appears, he was in, looks like he was in Singapore or Asia on CNBC Asia doing an interview. And the other piece was a guy from Morgan Stanley, looks like he was touting managed futures. I generally trend following style investments, touting managed futures on CNBC America. And so I just want to kind of recap what happened in both of these interviews. So the Jason interview, he was sitting, I think there was like 3 other people on the round table. You can see this video on my blog. I want you to go see this video. Watch this. It's, and I'm just paraphrasing here. Essentially, it's, Jason, can you make a prediction for us and tell us what's going to happen tomorrow? And can you tell us your top picks? And I thought Jason did great responses. He was like, look, we don't do that. We have a systematic approach. We make bets. We have tight risk management. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't make predictions. But when you watch these like three other people on the show, CNBC Asia with Jason, they literally, I don't know if it's because they're dumb or they got someone in their ear, a producer, they wear those earpieces and the producer's telling them in the ear, don't listen to this guy. Say something else. This is against the party line. You must don't let him get away with this. We don't know what systematic trading is. We don't talk about that on CNBC. Shut him down. You don't know if that's part of what's going on or what. But I thought it was great because Jason did a very calm, cool, and collected explanation as to, guys, that's not the way it works. And it goes on for like 6, 7, 8 minutes, and you just wonder, is it, are they just dumb, or they just don't care, or is it the Big Brother thing like I just imitated with my voice? The other piece was, like I said, from CNBC, just good old American CNBC, and guy from Morgan Stanley, Jeff Applegate, and I kind of slightly, not a paraphrase, but a brief rundown of what happened here, the transcript. And so Jeff Applegate is on CNBC, and he says, managed futures are a relative safe haven. They're talking about all the current chaos and whatnot. And he means they're a relative safe haven because if there is all kinds of chaos, trend following is going to put you on the right side of markets moving, whether it's up or down. So he says, once again, managed futures are a relative safe haven. And the CNBC guy says, and he's that British guy who, and I love British accents. I've lived in London. I think I actually acquired a little bit of one for a while. But right now in America, it seems like if you give a news show or a financial news show a guy with a British accent, even if he says absolutely nothing of importance, apparently there's you believe he's brighter or smarter or something. I don't know, but as a side. So anyways, the CNBC guy, the British guy, the thin guy, he says, what does managed futures do? What is that? Jeff Applegate goes ahead and he says, well, managed futures are quantitatively driven trading vehicles. They are trend following. And the CNBC guy says, sounds dangerous. And you just sounds dangerous compared to what? Buying Facebook on the IPO day? Investing in JP Morgan? Being a buy and hold investor for the last 15 years? Buying and holding the Nikkei since 89? What, trying to get Groupon? What the heck? I mean, seriously. And I get it. This is CNBC. This is what they do. And, somebody might say, well, Coveil, you're just player hating because you don't have the megaphone of CNBC. No, you know what? I really don't care. I mean, yes, I'd like to be able to reach more people, and I'm sure over time I will, but it's not about me sitting back and criticizing CNBC because they have a bigger megaphone. I'm criticizing CNBC because what they say is generally just dishonest. Not only is it dishonest, it's just not, it's extremely negative for the average investor to be listening to almost anybody on CNBC, taking what they say about anything to do with finance, investing, and money, and then acting on it. Let me just read this little transcript one more time. Jeff Applegate, managed futures. They're a relative safe haven. CNBC. What does managed futures do? What is that? Jeff Applegate. Managed futures are quantitatively driven trading vehicles. They are trend following. CNBC. Sounds dangerous. Okay. Does the kind of quirky looking, sounding British guy on CNBC, and I did not bother to write his name down before I did this podcast, so you'll all know who he is. When he says they sound dangerous, is he saying that because he believes it? Is that all he knows? Is he just dumb too? I mean, is he that ignorant that he's never heard the phrase managed futures and spent even 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to read what it means? Is it that foreign to him? He's never heard of any. This is a professional reporter for the largest financial news operation, around, or at least the most well known. I don't know if they're bigger than Bloomberg. He doesn't know who any of the practitioners are. He's never heard the name David Harding. He's never heard of Aspect Capital. He's never heard of Graham Capital. He's never heard of any of the other large London CTAs. He's never looked at the assets under the old AHL program, now under Mann. None of this. He's never thought about any of this. It's literally now in 2012. He hears the phrase managed futures. And at that moment in 2012 in May, with no prior knowledge, apparently, a professional finance reporter can only say, that sounds dangerous. Okay, I don't know what the real story is. He's either, as I said, he's either not that bright, or there's some other type of agenda. I mean, those are the only choices you have. Why do I beat this situation up? I mean, this is such a confidence builder. I mean, if you're looking out there and you're realizing, you're like, wow, the masses. People say to me, they say, well, why would you teach anybody trend following? Everyone will be doing it. It won't work anymore. Oh, really? Really? How is that going to happen? When the vast majority of people are, never going to allow themselves to let go of the system, to let go of somebody at the government taking care of them. And you're telling me that we have to be concerned when the major finance shows don't even talk about this subject, or if they do talk about it, they position all of the trend following traders, like, for example, my friend Jason at Sunrise, or this other guy, they position them almost like, I don't know, like the mentally challenged kid they keep in a box in the bedroom, hidden in the closet. I mean, seriously, that's how this subject is positioned. Anyways, this is what goes on. This is when I'm not looking at this information trying to make trading decisions. I look at all this information and I say, how can I weave a better understanding of trend following? How can I get a better understanding of trend following across to people through these examples? How can I use these examples to bring people in? It's not necessarily to teach people a trend following system. I mean, neither of the examples that I've just used are going to be used to teach people a trend following system, but they are a great way to bring people in, especially people that are a little bit new. It's a great way to bring them in. I like Facebook. I mean, I like the movie The Social Network. There's a side of me that likes Zuckerberg. I like success. I want to think that he got his success through a certain sense of fairness. I want to think that he's a good guy. And, I don't have enough information to draw any of those conclusions, that whether he's a good or a bad guy, really. I don't have any real ability to know that. Clearly, it's a pretty competitive space, and when billions of dollars are involved, you're going to get all kinds of people coming after you. But I think Facebook's a great example. It's a fantastic example, because as I look at the chart right now today, I'm seeing a price at 27.01. And I think that would leave the all-time high at $45 even. And I think that puts us at a 40% drawdown. So 40% off the peak. That's pretty brutal, man. Like, for all you folks out there that were like sitting on Facebook all day long chatting with friends. Look, I'm on Facebook too. But, I got to be honest with it. Maybe I should, but I don't necessarily use it for chatting with friends per se. That's not really my goal. My goal is, I don't know if I can necessarily describe my goal of how I use Facebook, but I use it as a way to communicate, to get points across, to bring people into trend following, to bring people into a way of thinking that's different. I mean, that's kind of why I use Facebook. I mean, you can tell by my posts, they're eclectic, to say the least. Actually, look at that. While I'm talking, it just hit 26.98. So 40% drawdown. I remember when Netscape went public in August of 1995. I remember what happened during the dot-com bubble. And I don't say this because I'm making a political judgment one way or the other, but I know why the president of the United States was reelected in 1996. It wasn't because he was a great guy or doing this or doing that. It'll be the same reason as to whether or not Obama gets elected in the fall. Bill Clinton got elected in 1996 because the stock market was fucking roaring, period. People were wealthy, whether it was on paper or selling it. Who didn't make it? They were wealthy. They were making money. Big money. That's why the president got reelected in 1996. If the stock market would have crashed in early 96, Clinton, he was not going to get elected. It's that simple. And so when you look at right now, you look at the situation right now, you say, well, who will be the president come the fall of 2012, the president of the United States? Well, if the stock market stays up, it will be Obama. If the stock market goes down, the Republicans could be running Lassie, and it won't make a difference. That's who will get elected. It's that simple. That's where America's at right now. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. If the stock market would have been high, and there would have been not been in October of 2008, and everything would have continued, McCain would have been president. That's the way the system works. Kind of a slight tangent. Back to Facebook. How do you feel? If you pulled the trigger and you bought that day sometime, you probably got a fill between 38 and 45, I guess. And if you're still holding on at 27, I mean, how does it make you feel? I mean, don't you deep in your gut kind of know that you're just gambling? Don't you know it's just kind of like buying a lottery ticket? And I will admit, I mean, I didn't buy any Facebook stock, and I have nothing to do with Facebook stock. But I will admit that the system as a whole, the way it was manipulating people and gearing them up for that event was pretty freaking amazing. I mean, it was a pretty big thing. It was, I mean, you've got, 900 million people using this thing. They all use it to, reconnect with their high school girlfriends that then forces the breakup of their marriage, and the kids are crying and there's a divorce. And so there's a lot of good benefits to Facebook. I mean, the marriage killer is a fantastic benefit to Facebook. I guess that's another slight tangent, but look, I'm a big fan. I mean, from a general basic, the social media aspect of it is really good. Seriously, it is a fantastic communication device. Okay, now what? You get 900 million people. They're all excited. Everyone's been talking about this damn thing for how long now? Facebook. Now they're going to go public. Everyone's going to make all this money. And man, the day that stock goes public, all the insiders just freaking sell out. Just cash out, crap out. I'm taking my money. I'm going home. And you, the guy who just, is trying to get your 100 shares of Facebook, you with, your hundreds of friends on Facebook and exchanging photos, and you think, hey man, this is going to pay for the college, for the kids' college education. There's no way this thing cannot go up. Except it didn't. It's gone down. It might turn around and go up. Maybe it's a fantastic buy and hold stock. Well, fantastic. Then bet a small percentage of your capital on it. If you want to take a flyer on Facebook, bet a small percentage of your capital on it. But clearly, if you look at the stock price of this thing over the last couple of weeks, you got to know this is a big gamble. I mean, this thing could go down and sit in the toilet for the next 5 years, 10 years, for all we know. I mean, go look where the many of these hot tech names peaked in 2000 or late 99, and they've still not gotten back to those levels. Cisco, for one. I mean, Cisco was the company. I still remember in the late 90s. I mean, it was like you could, and it was a great argument. I used to hear it all the time. Everyone needs routers. Cisco does the plumbing for everybody. It's got infinite growth because the whole world needs routers. At least Cisco sells something. I don't even know what Facebook sells, except me being connected to everybody. And I'm not trying to make a fundamental view of it. I'm just trying to point out, it's like, look, this fundamental stuff, just the whole idea of me even rambling about the fundamentals. How do you make a decision? How do you use any of that to make a decision on a share price? Especially now that you've seen what's happened to Facebook's share price. Now, it could have easily turned around and gone the other direction, but it didn't. The share price is telling you something. If you got filled at 45 and you're still holding on at 27, you better have a plan of attack. I mean, you better know what your exit strategy is if you're still holding on at 27. It's not going to go to zero. But I guess there's no reason why I can't go a lot farther down than here. So I've had people ask me, well, what about trend following in Facebook? No, you can't do that. It just came out. IPO just happened. Not enough data. Sit back. Don't be greedy. There's plenty of things to trade. Plenty of liquid markets that have been trading for years, breaking out trends left and right. Call up any professional trend following trader right now. All you're going to hear about is that the positions are just loading up. That doesn't mean necessarily there's going to be massive performance to come. But when you see some of the trend following programs loading up like they are now, when I mean say loading up, taking on numerous positions, long and short, bonds, currencies, metals, you name it. When you see that, it's often a harbinger of what's going to come. It's almost like you can sometimes make a prediction by the way trend following programs load up on positions, even if they're not making the money at that moment in time. You're taking your entries, you're getting in, but it's a waiting game. You're waiting to see what's going to happen. So it's kind of fun as a trend following trader. You sit there and you take your signals. You start to get in these positions, put your units on, and then you're sitting there and you're watching the news with Europe, and you're like, you can look at your units on. What's driving them, but none of your decision making criteria is based on the news or what you hear about Europe. You're making your decision. Your decisions are being driven by the price action. And it can be a fun confirmation. You can kind of follow along. You can read the news and you can kind of go, well, the kind of news is correlating with my trend following system, but they're independent of each other. They're not connected. Some people will say, and I think Jack Schwager's new book has some examples of this, men who purport to kind of trade both ways or have a fundamental component. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, are you Ray Dalio at Bridgewater? Do you have 100 billion under management? Do you have 300 or 400 people on staff? Or you can look at it from the trend following perspective and say, what's the best way that one man, if you happen to just be one guy, what's the best way that one man could trade many, many global markets, whether it's futures, ETFs, sleeps? What's the best way that one man could trade all of that diversity and keep track of it without having to have your Nobel Prize in economics, without having to be this immensely talented fundamental analyst with this off-the-charts memory of every annual report and balance sheet? What's the way you can do that? Trend following is the only way. There is no other way. There's no other way for one guy to manage and trade a diversified global portfolio by himself or with a small team than trend following. It is the only way. The other ways are very, very large operations. And I'll leave you with this thought. I can't prove it, but I've got enough experience to see how things unfold, and I can look at performance data. There are some very well-known names in the trading world, extremely well-known. Track records and wealth building, wealth creation that just is astronomically fantastic, who purport to not be trend following traders or who purport to use fundamental information. Unless you can see their trading approach, unless you can see their trading system, for some of these examples that I'm talking about, and I'm not naming any names, but unless you can see their trading approach, unless you can see the rules they're using, unless you can see their performance exactly, the safe way to always lean is they're all technical trend following traders until proven otherwise. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.